A while back I did a list of my top 10 favourite Kanto Pokemon, and while it wasn't the best video, it was a big step forward for me as a YouTuber. It helped me push myself in making slightly longer form videos. Actually, it might have been the first video on the channel that was over 10 minutes that wasn't an off-the-cuff discussion video, and I think I've improved a lot as a YouTuber in that time, and we're well overdue a follow-up, so here we are. And you may notice that some Pokemon have been omitted from this list, and don't worry, if your favourite Pokemon isn't on this list, it might be on my overall list, which I'll be doing once I've tackled every Pokemon region thus far. Before we get into the list, let's tackle some honourable mentions. All of the starters, especially for Alligator, I love every single one of them, and I've had special memories with each and every one. Maybe more so than others. Again, for Alligator more so than Typhlosion and Meganium, but I really love them all, and for Alligator's just a great Pokemon, great all-round Pokemon, and it's the only Pokemon I think I've ever beat Red with, so there's that. Yeah. All of the legendaries, because I think they're very well designed and useful, maybe some more so than others, but I think the legendary dogs, even though they're cats, are really great Pokemon. Celebi is a great mythical Pokemon, a great follow-up to Mew from Gen 1, but I don't know, you could argue maybe Mew is a lot more special, but Celebi's still really cool. And yeah, Ho-Oh and Lugia, do I really need to say anything about them? They're just two sides of the same coin, both really elegant and cool and badass and everything, but yeah, let's move on to the last honourable mention. Finally, a really weird one, but the last honourable mention is Hitmontop, and I know Hitmontop's a really weird nothing Pokemon, and it doesn't really even deserve to be on honourable mentions. While I do like Hitmontop, it would make any honourable mentions list or any top 10 list at all, in my opinion, if it wasn't for this very reason. But the reasoning you'll get once I get into it. But basically, in the early, really dark days of this channel, when I was trying to be a PokeTuber and I kind of didn't realise the well would dry up really fast. Don't worry about like seeing those videos. I'm never going to upload them because they're all fucking terrible. But basically, I had this weird theory how like Hitmonchan's based on Jackie Chan, Hitmonlee's based on Bruce Lee, so what's Hitmontop based on? And then I was a fan of wrestling, and I still kind of am, and my favourite wrestler is Booker T. He's known for spinning on his head. I think you can see where this is going, so I drew the comparison. It was sort of a jokey video, sort of serious, where I was like, oh, so like T for Booker T, T for top, oh shit. It was a really weird and stupid theory video, and yeah, it's basically cemented Hitmontop as being like this little joke in the kind of an in-joke between me and my best friend since then, and yeah, he made like a bunch of jokes about that, and yeah, I mean, it's kind of, Hitmontop's kind of got a special place in my heart ever since that time, but yeah, I guess that's it. I have no other real reasons for putting Hitmontop on the honourable mentions list, but he's just kind of there, so yeah. Anyway, moving on to the list.
Number 10.
One thing that I think is underappreciated in Pokemon is the cuteness of Pokemon. Not to say there aren't people who appreciate said aspect of the massive roster of Pokemon that there already is out there, but all too often I find it's legendary this, strongest Pokemon that, this looks badass. The number 10 spot for me is a spot of the pure indulgence of physical attraction, for lack of a better term. Call it a cop-out, but I think Teddiursa is one of the cutest fucking things ever, like holy fuck.
Like, look at it. Look at it. That pose, that moon-like curl on its forehead, everything just comes together to make it look cute as fuck. And he always looks like he's curious about something off in the distance. It's the best.
Now Teddiursa is a first stage Pokemon, so it's basically useless. But Ursaring isn't a bad lower tier Pokemon in competitive and can be useful in the games, so I'll leave them here at the bottom spot mainly because I haven't used them that much.
Number 9.
As the years go on, unique typings for Pokemon are basically going to go extinct. We're no longer going to have the one water and electric Pokemon. But in the not so distant past of Pokemon with unique type combinations did exist, and Skarmory was one of them.
Skarmory is a great Pokemon to have in any competitive or in-game team. With solid stats like those, it can be used as an offensive force to a degree, or as it's more commonly used, as a Pokemon to set up and then follow up with some light offense. And that design is fucking awesome. I wholeheartedly believe that some of Gen 2's designs carry out Gen 1's idea, or philosophy if you will, of simple yet effective designs even better than Gen 1. And Skarmory is no exception to this rule. There are some somewhat finer details to Skarmory's design, but as a whole it's simple, effective and elegantly badass. Number 8.
Well, in this day and age, I think gimmicks are kind of overdone in Pokemon, and I kind of just want to go back to the old school style of Pokemon. I do occasionally like gimmicky Pokemon, you know, like Inkay, Eevee, Minior, and the next Pokemon on this list, Sudowoodo.
Sudowoodo is a great Pokemon in terms of design. Well, I guess you could argue it looks like a turd, but that's neither here nor there. Either way, I like Sudowoodo's design. And while it's definitely not the most powerful or useful Pokemon in the world, I love Sudowoodo and Bonsly in the anime. Seeing Brock's shy and timid crybaby Bonsly become a strong and caring Sudowoodo put a smile on my face as a kid.
I'll be honest, Sudowoodo is on this list for no other reason than me liking Brock's Sudowoodo, but I also liked using him the few times I did in Heart Gold, so there's that, I guess.
Number 7.
Okay, sort of a controversial pick, but number 7 is Miltank. And yes, I know a lot of you hate Miltank because of Whitney's Miltank, but once you get over the trauma of Whitney's Miltank, you kind of start to realise Miltank ain't that bad of a Pokemon.
Now I'm sure a lot of you guys growing up weren't exactly taking Miltank to the Elite Four, but honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Miltank would be a good choice for a defensive wall when taking on the Elite Four in Johto. And even if you want to argue against its usefulness, you can't deny Miltank is extremely well designed. Again, simple and elegant in a sense. And not only that, Miltank is one of those really caring Pokemon, much like Chansey, Ordino or even Torterra, which makes me love it even more.
Also, I really love normal types. For a typing that should entail bland and boring designs, the normal typing seems to have a lot of great designs.
Number 6.
Single stage Pokemon are usually forgotten. They aren't really looked at as fan favourite Pokemon. Sure, there may be some exceptions, but for the most part they're like our last entry. They're either forgotten or hated. But despite being a single stage Pokemon, Heracross has become one of the Gen 2 fan favourites over time.
Whether you love Heracross from the anime, used him in game, or just think his design is sick as fuck, there's a good chance if you love Gen 2, you'll love Heracross.
And why wouldn't you? With decent stats, a killer design and just being generally fun to use, Heracross is a Pokemon you can't help but love. Also, Mega Heracross is a thing.
Number 5.
Oh god, I'm gonna be crucified for putting this Pokemon this low on the list.
Number 5 is Scizor. Yes, Scizor. I know some of you are going to hate me for this. Scizor is undoubtedly a great Pokemon, but if it isn't already evident from some of the entries on this list so far, some of these picks are based off of purely superficial reasons, or a reason that is more in line with the entries to come, personal experiences. Now Scizor is a great Pokemon to use competitively, whether you're using its base form or its Mega, and it's just a generally fun Pokemon to use in-game, and on top of that, it just looks badass as fuck. But unfortunately, I haven't had much experience with Scizor in any capacity, so I can't really justify putting Scizor any higher.
That being said, the few times I did use Scizor, it was competitively on a team that was loaned to me, and the Scizor did really great in that X and Y team that I used for that very short time. I also used a couple of Scizors in my Heart Gold playthroughs, and the few times I did use them, they were really helpful in my battles against the Elite Four and Red. All I can say is Scizor is a great Pokemon and definitely deserves to be a fan favourite.
Number 4.
The Dark type is one of my favourite Pokemon typings. Most Dark types are really versatile and useful in the games, and some are just straight up badass. Of all the great Dark type Pokemon to come about since about Gen 2, there are very few that tick as many boxes as Houndoom.
Houndoom looks badass as fuck and is super fun to use in the games, and while you could argue there are better Pokemon that you could use instead of Houndoom, I'd still say Houndoom is no slouch. And while I think they really missed the mark design-wise with Mega Houndoom, I mean, they literally could have made a Cerberus, I still think Mega Houndoom is pretty cool, and needless to say, if I was ever to have a Pokemon in the real world, Houndoom would be very high on the list for possible contenders. Number 3.
Number 3 goes to a Pokemon that has grown very close to my heart very recently. That Pokemon being Azumarill. I know what you guys are thinking. Putting Azumarill over all these great Pokemon, is he fucking mad? Yes, but that's got nothing to do with me putting Azumarill at number 3. You see, I love all the Pokemon that I've listed so far, but I have to admit, they don't all have the emotional connection with me that number 1, 2 and 3 have. In this case, I did a Soul Link Nuzlocke with my best friend. One of many.
For those unfamiliar with the concept of a Soul Link, in a Soul Link, you and another person basically do a Nuzlocke challenge, but with the added stipulation of the Pokemon you catch and encounter being linked and not allowing duplicate catches. For example, on Route 1, if I catch a Rattata and my friend catches a Pidgey, If the rat bites a dust, so does a bird, and if one of us fails at catching, the other has to skip that route or release what they caught. As you can imagine, a Soul Link is a wild ride. If you think a regular Nuzlocke is intense, you need to try a Soul Link. This Soul Link was an Emerald one. It was going smoothly and we were having fun, and on this one route I ran into this Marill, and unbeknownst to me, this little mouse would go on to be the MVP of my team. I named him Bubblebutt. And when I told Bubblebutt put in some work, he put in work. He fucking wrecked anything and everything. And then, at one point in our epic adventure, we finally reached Morville. And Watson claimed my Bubblebutt. Whoa, wait, I didn't mean like that. After all of our hard work, this jolly, saggy, ballsack having granddad claimed victory and effectively ended our Soul Link.
Despite his death, Bubblebutt's memory lives on.
Number 2.
Number 2 is attached to another Soul Link memory, and unlike Azumarill, I was already super fond of this Pokemon, especially design-wise.
This time it was a Fire Red Soul Link. Me and my brother Kylie were hitchhiking down a long and lonesome road, and then we came across the gym leader, Erica. Now, we were playing Pokemon, just so it was easier to keep up with one another and stuff. And one thing we forgot was that in Pokemon, the trainer teams occasionally will have added Pokemon. In this case, Erica had a Heart Gold Soul Silver team, not a Fire Red and Leaf Green one. And because of that, we came across her Bellossom. Now when I tell you this Bellossom bodied us, I am not kidding. We got murdered. This one Pokemon basically single-handedly killed our entire run.
And ever since, I've grown to love Bellossom even more. More so than Azumarill actually. It's something I really can't explain, but my love for Bellossom has blossomed since that battle.
Number 1.
On this list, we've had strong Pokemon, we've had weak Pokemon, we've had Pokemon of many kinds and types. We started this list with a cute Pokemon and we're gonna end with one. Number 1 goes to Wooper.
Yes, fucking Wooper. I've had a long and complicated history with Wooper and Quagsire to say the very least. When I first played Diamond and later Platinum, for some weird reason I grew to hate Quagsire and then Wooper by association. And it was like this for years. I hated them. For no real reason, mind you, I just did. And then one day I decided to do a Heart Gold playthrough since I haven't played it in a hot minute. And then something came over me. I decided to use a Wooper, so I caught the Wooper and called it Mr. Blobby after this abomination. And when I let him out of his Pokeball, my tune changed immediately. I was met with the cutest little axolotl thing I've ever laid eyes on. The first time I sent him out to battle and he turned around almost as if he was looking for reassurance, God, my heart just melted.
Now I never finished a playthrough, so Quagsire didn't get much of a chance to get close to my heart. But regardless, Wooper takes the number 1 spot, purely because he's the cutest thing ever. Suck it. Anyway guys, that's enough out of me. If you did enjoy the video, please do feel free to leave a like, subscribe, share, do all of that good shit. It really helps the channel grow and it just really helps me out a lot. And yeah, hope you guys have been staying safe and been staying cooped up inside during quarantine and everything. It's been really hard for me to film during quarantine, which is my explanation for the lack of uploads. Unfortunately, it's kind of hard to do that. I should have a podcast style video going up maybe next week, maybe in the next few days, who knows. But yeah, regardless, I've got some content on the way again. A podcast style video perhaps, a rant maybe, depending on if I can get some art done in time. Of course a Jack and Daxter review, which I've been putting off for ages, but for good reason. I've had a lot of complications and I've had a very well needed break, I guess you could call it. I think I'm ready to get back into the swing of things, but quarantine does make things really hard and makes it hard for me to record when there's people always at home and always making noise at home. But yeah, I hope you've all been staying safe, and yeah, I guess that's all out of me. I'm not sure if the schedule's going to go back to the regular schedule because of quarantine and everything, but I'm going to try my very best, and yeah, I hope to keep you guys entertained during these trying times. But yeah, anyway, I've been XYZ Cruncher. Stay cool, stay safe, stay crunchy, and I'm out. Peace.